Hello guys, good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you are. Today I want to talk about PowerShell because PowerShell in the cybersecurity world, it's really important to know it because it's the today's APTs are using it to hack and attack uh, the targets. They are using um, PowerShell as a means of hacking into servers, endpoints, you name it. So I wanted to bring the topic of PowerShell because this is something besides Python. That's another for another video. Besides that, you have to also know PowerShell, and I'm sure that if you're coming from a administrative side of Windows or yeah, mostly Microsoft, you are or you're supposed to know, or you should know at least the basics of PowerShell because when you're investigating any type of threats, alerts that are coming in, sometimes you do have PowerShell that it has been executed, and there has to be ways for you to find it and see, what it's doing. If you don't have any idea how PowerShell works, then there's a problem because you have to really know. I mean, you don't have to be an expert, but you really must be able to do the basics, And the more you practice, the better. We're gonna do that the practice side in the lab with my virtual machines, which that's gonna be the next video. How to do cybersecurity with PowerShell. On one end, we're gonna be doing the the defensive side, and on the other video, it's gonna be the attacking side. So that way I'll show you a bit how that works. But this one is about getting to know the basics of PowerShell. So, you have to know the commands, the functionality of PowerShell. They're called commandlets, the functions, the workflows, the command line interface, the GUI. So this can be used for automation tasks, for administrators, technical support, but also for penetration testing and attacks. So you really have to get on the ball with this because hackers they are always up to date. They're always on track. They're always trying to find a way to see how they can penetrate or compromise any endpoint or computers. The way that you can see what version of, if you're using Windows, I'm assuming you're using Windows 10 at least. If you're using Windows 7 and you're looking at this video on cybersecurity, then I think you have no clue exactly what you're doing. To look at the version that you have for PowerShell, you type $PS version table the way you see it there, okay? And that's how you will see its PS version is 5.1 whatever. See, so that's the version. You can upgrade to a later version. I believe is version 7, and I think I have already. Yep, you can just look it up on Google. This one right here. See, so just to pause the video. That one, it's mostly command line interface. So also, besides using the GUI, you can, which I'm going to show you. Besides using the GUI, there's a command line interface version that you can use. Maybe I can show you here and see if I can type it to see the PowerShell. Here we go. This is the command line version right here. I always run it as admin, right? Because if you have commands that you wanna need an elevated if you use an elevated command, your PowerShell has to be administrator. Okay, so this is the command line interface. This one you will type the like for example get process, let's say, oops, process, right? This will give you all the processes running on your computer. Okay, now the GUI version, it's different. See this one, it's called ICE, Integrated System Environment, and this is the one that you will use whenever you're writing scripts that you want to save. I'm going to give you an example here of my PowerShell, my GUI. Sounds fun. PowerShell ICE. Okay, so let's see if I open it up. This is what it looks like, right? Okay, so if let's say if I already wrote a script, this is the way, Now this is more advanced, for some people. That's why I said, you need to learn the basics. I'm not gonna show you or teach you how to use PowerShell because there's so many tutorials you can look up. Tutorials for beginners, tutorials in YouTube, that they can help. Oops, sorry about that. Tutorials that can help you understand PowerShell. Get the basics, at least get the basics. Moving on. Here we go. You really need to do. The best way for me to to learn PowerShell. I mean, I'm not saying that I know it by heart, but at least now I have a better understanding of how to do scripting. And the best part of it is that now that I am learning more Python, I understand it even better because now I can see the scripting side of things. So the way that I started learning PowerShell was by creating little projects. For example, how do you do a ping with PowerShell? How do you find the MAC address of a computer? How do you find who's logged on to a computer? Things like that, just little things that will help you understand. As you can see right here, it's not any different than what you used to have in the command line prompt, DOS. So help, get help, ls, the same as dir. For those that do know Linux, ls, cat, PowerShell recognizes those commands. You can still use them in PowerShell, and now now even now you can use PowerShell in Linux. So get a load of that. It's really powerful. Okay, so moving on. You gotta know how to make foundational scripts. Get verb, get process. Well, when I say get verb, is get dash verb, get dash process, get dash mailbox, right? If you want to find out, let's say for example, a commandlet that has the noun event, let's say I'm gonna type it. I'll show you. That way you can see it. Let's say here I want to find out get dash command. See, and this what you see here, it's called IntelliSense. So let's say instead of you completing the command, just type tab. Oops. it should have just, well, it was supposed to complete, but I guess it didn't. Let's see if I can get it again. Get, there we go. Command, see. So now I can select that, and it's there. Space dash, see, noun, what I want, right? And then star event. So any command that has the event word in it will show. See, event. It doesn't have to be just event. Add event. You get the idea. So basically, it's really important that you learn PowerShell. Now, the only reason I'm saying this is because we're gonna go to the next lab, which is gonna be more on the cybersecurity side. So you see right here. So PowerShell is a powerful shell scripting language developed by Microsoft to provide an integrated interface for automated system administration. It is an important part of the system administration toolkit due to its ubiquity and the ease with which it can be used to fully control Microsoft Windows systems. However, it is also a dangerous post-exploitation tool in the hands of an adversary. So, there's so many different exploitation scripts that they can make, for Trojan horse, for a backdoor, for exploits, for ransomware, for viruses, for worms. So all this, you really have to be on the lookout. You really have to know exactly what's going on. So at the same time, PowerShell itself is no less secure than other Microsoft Windows scripting environments. PowerShell provides an adversary with a convenient interface for enumerating and manipulating a host system after the adversary has gained initial code execution. So it's pretty dangerous, once in the wrong hand, because everybody can use it. It's an open source. So it allows also adversaries to perform code injection from the PowerShell environment into other processes without dropping malicious code. That in itself, so it effectively grants arbitrary code execution while bypassing many security protections and leaving virtually no residual artifacts. So it's kind of hard to really find it. You have to be on your toes on this one. This is not due to any security vulnerability within the PowerShell, but rather it is an indication of its tight integration with .NET framework. So that's something you need to look up, .NET framework. So it allows for an extremely powerful and easy to use interface to sensitive system functionality. So it's, PowerShell is really made to administer your environment. It really allows organization. It's an organization that may lead to the immediate desire to block access to PowerShell. Your company might decide, that certainly nobody has to have access to PowerShell. But I would say, only those that have a specific higher level of administration should have it, but with a certain level of access. Somebody has to monitor whoever is doing the monitoring. You know what I mean? Like the guy has to be a cop for another cop, to see what exactly they're doing. Because always sometimes, when you give too much power to one person, it goes to their head and they just do things that they're not supposed to be doing. So it is, sometimes you have to resist the impulse of disabling PowerShell. Instead, I think you should be looking to mitigate the known security risks associated with PowerShell. The organization will be far better positioned to protect its valuable resources and respond when a cyber intrusion occurs. Ha- you know, you have to really secure PowerShell uh, as a holistic approach to the security of the workstations and the servers. Yes, but it's no point of locking down PowerShell if the system is trivial to exploit via other methods. So yeah, really, I mean, just because you think that PowerShell is gonna be one way to get in, but there's so many other ways. So might as well, if you, I would consider, uh, you know, uh, reconsider locking down PowerShell. There are four levels of maturity framework for PowerShell. Okay, level zero. The organization uses PowerShell in its default configuration without any consideration of security risk associated with its use. So that means they just use it as is, which is dumb because you need to have some sort of mitigation process, or know exactly what you're doing, why you're letting people use it as is. Level one, the organization configures scripts white listing. Additionally, the PowerShell script execution policy is configured not to run only PowerShell scripts signed by a trusted publisher. So at least level one, it's a bit more mitigating, I guess, and more consciously aware. At least they have the scripts, but they have to be trusted. They have to be signed by a trusted publisher. Maybe they could have code signing certificates protected from misuse. You know. So level two now, the organization locks down PowerShell host to users performing tasks that require the ability to use PowerShell. This is a formal role-based application whitelisting, which you only give it to those who need it, right? You can probably do it whitelisting solutions available on the market. You know, a hardened Windows remote management configuration is deployed to make remote PowerShell more secure. All right. Now, level three, the organization deploys custom constrained endpoints for PowerShell. This restricts the PowerShell functionality for a given user to a predefined whitelist. Well, I think that one is pretty good. Now, recommendations for mitigation. Script whitelisting is one. Okay. It is possible to enforce the script execution policy via group policy. I think that would do. The recommended script execution policy is all signed. All scripts have to be signed by a trusted publisher. Alternatively, sorry, alternately, sorry, alternate for workstations where scripts are developed, the script execution policy should be remote signed. Only remotely downloaded scripts have to be signed by a trusted publisher. Interesting. So, the organization should use code signing certificates that are trusted across the entire environment to ensure a consistent script execution experience across the environment. Or you can have role-based application whitelisting. Hmm? You can have logging and analysis, PowerShell event login. Keep track who's using it, what they're doing with it. Windows event login, event log analysis. prevent modification, and enable auditing of configuration settings and transcripts. You know, so in a nutshell, you got to keep track of who's doing what, who's using what are they changing, what are they modifying, why are they running it. Investigate. There's always that possibility. You got to keep track. You gotta keep track of what's going on in the environment. Nobody is above anything. Everybody has to be accountable for what they're doing. So those that have a higher privilege, there has to be somebody that needs to audit those privileges. You need to they need to be accountable, everybody. So anyways, I just wanted you to be aware that you need to know PowerShell, and I think it's important that you take some sort of training. Like I said, you don't have to be say a master or have a PhD in PowerShell, but at least you have to know the basics, how to navigate, how to execute commands. Like I said, start with little projects. I'm gonna show you one that I have. I started like that because it got my attention, because I said, what can I create? This one might take a bit longer, but it's worth it, because it'll show you the little things, or the big things that you can do as a PowerShell scripting guy. So let's see. I'm gonna play it for you. Hopefully it won't take that long. So here we go. So now it's asking me to enter the computer name. I have another one that it's even more reactive than this one. Let me see if I can bring this window, and I can't bring my window. Yeah. Let me see if I can go into settings. Now here we go. It opened up. So I'm just getting my computer name. Okay, and I'm gonna paste it and go.
Good day, sir. For your information, the text file results will be deleted. Pinging computer.
Okay, so this is what it's doing.
Acquiring MAC address.
It's supposed to create a temp file.
Finding available space on the C drive.
See, now it's doing that.
Looking for available space on the hard drive. I see. Okay.
The results
Checking last
here.
logged on user. No results will be provided if the computer is offline.
It's just basic
Acquiring
stuff.
applications installed.
See, now, so it's trying to find a list of applications that have been installed. Depending on how many or how the amount of applications that you have, but this is just an example of what you can do. So can you imagine? Now next we're gonna try to create one just for cybersecurity, right? To use the tools, like for example sys internal tools, so you can run them and can give
Acquiring which applications were last used.
and it can give you the results, and that's what it's most important. That means you can automate, and I'm only showing you this because I need you to understand that things can get very interesting. So if you know and learn PowerShell, and you can do the same thing. I think you can even do it more, even because I haven't been able to explore the many possibilities, but you can do the same thing in Python.
Checking for last user logged onto this computer. Now checking when the computer was last rebooted.
You can even,
Okay, all done. Processing. Please note that if the computer is offline, the results will be less than desirable for what you were looking for. The job you requested has been completed. Here is the result. Have a good day.
See, even gave me all the results, everything that it searched that I was looking for. But can you imagine if you can do this? See, I have Python. if you can do this in the security side, you can make it in a way that it's going to be uh, auditing, monitoring your system or remote systems. I mean, the possibilities are endless, man. So just a small example that I wanted to bring up and show you guys. So I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope this gives you motivation to start learning scripting. It's really fun and important. Anyways, you know, it'll make your job easier. So thank you guys, and the next one is going to be a lab with PowerShell, and after that we're gonna have a lab with PowerShell and Python both together to see how it works. All right. So thank you guys, and have a good day.